Beyond the trip, beyond the haze, we're lighting up these shadow waves. Ketamine dreams to
Welcome back to Conscious Healing, Beyond the Trip, hosted by Dr. Jason Harris. Each week, Dr. Harris explores the world of ketamine and other psychedelics, uncovering how they're helping to treat mental health conditions and chronic pain disorders.
This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. The information shared should not be considered medical advice. Always consult with your physician or a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your medication or treatment plan. Please be aware that some of the substances and treatments discussed on this podcast may be illegal in certain jurisdictions. We do not endorse or encourage the use of illicit substances.
What if the doorway to healing wasn't a lecture, but a moment, a sudden, silent return of something you thought you lost? Welcome to Conscious Healing, Beyond the Trip. Today we'll explore how ketamine-assisted therapy can open windows into recovery, moments that are small, surprising, and profoundly meaningful. Trauma doesn't only live in memory. It lives in posture, in muscle tension, in habits, and in the things we stop doing. People return from war, accidents, or deep personal loss and find parts of themselves dimmed or missing. A laugh they lost, tears that wouldn't come, a steady hand that suddenly falters. Over time, though, pieces can come back. Sometimes it's a tear that finally falls. Sometimes it's handwriting that returns when they least expect it. Those tiny gifts are proof that repair can be incremental and real. Ketamine is not a magic bullet. Think of it as a catalyst, a temporary loosening of the patterns the brain has been stuck inside. In that loosened state, therapy and intentional integration become powerful. Patients can see old patterns with fresh eyes, feel emotions without being overwhelmed, and practice new responses that lock in over time. Here are a few patient moments that illustrate what we mean. One person shared, "I'd never cried in war. Then one day I did. Then my handwriting returned." That return of expression, tears and penmanship, didn't fix everything, but it signaled the beginning of a different kind of relationship with the past. Another patient described how nightmares that had returned nightly for years started to loosen after sessions. The dreams were still there, but the fear around them decreased, and for the first time in a long time, sleep felt possible. These changes are rarely dramatic overnight. Healing is incremental, session by session, practice by practice. That's where integration comes in, the day-to-day work that turns moments of insight into lasting change. Integration is practical. It looks like journaling the experience, naming the new sensations, practicing grounding techniques, intentionally changing small behaviors, and leaning into community support. If you want concrete integration tools to include in aftercare, here are a few that clinicians commonly use and find effective. Journaling prompt, daily. What did I notice today that felt different? Write for 5 minutes without editing. Grounding practice, 2 to 3 hex per day, 4 to 4-8 breathing. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 8, while naming 3 things you can see, 2 you can touch, and 1 you can smell. Micro practice. Pick one small behavior to anchor your insight. For example, spend 1 minute practicing gentle facial massage where tension sits, or practice saying one compassionate sentence to yourself in the mirror. Community check-in, weekly peer support, or short integration check-ins with a therapist or coach to translate the session into action. Safety is the foundation of responsible ketamine-assisted work. That starts with proper screening, medical history, mental health evaluation, and clear exclusion criteria where appropriate. It continues with on-site clinical monitoring during sessions, informed consent that explains risks and expected effects, and thoughtful aftercare plans that include follow-up visits and emergency contacts. When these systems are in place, ketamine becomes part of a structured pathway rather than a standalone intervention. Let's talk about what to expect during a treatment pathway, in broad strokes. There's an initial intake where clinicians map history and goals. Then sessions are scheduled, often a course of several monitored sessions spaced over weeks, each followed by integration therapy. Over time, patients and clinicians collaboratively adjust approaches. Some need adjunctive psychotherapy, others benefit from movement-based therapies or medication management. The core is collaboration, not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's important to be clear about what ketamine doesn't promise. It's not an immediate cure for complex trauma or a substitute for comprehensive mental health care. It can, however, open a window, a fragile, valuable opening where the work of recovery becomes more accessible. The goal is to translate that window into sustained change through practice, support, and skill building. There's also a social dimension to healing. Recovery often depends on who's around you: family, peers, clinicians. We see the bravest steps when someone reaches out and another person answers. If you're a loved one watching, your presence matters more than you might think. If you're a clinician, the invitation is to build systems of safety, follow-up, and compassionate accountability. If this conversation is resonating, it's vital to connect with qualified providers. Look for clinics that offer trauma-informed care, clear medical oversight, and structured integration plans. If you're in crisis now or worried about immediate safety, reach out to local emergency services or crisis hotlines. Links and resources are in the show notes for this episode. Before we close, a quick practical piece for clinicians listening. Document integration plans explicitly in the chart. Small tools like a one-page integration checklist for patients, breathing, journaling, sleep hygiene, emergency plan can dramatically improve outcomes when consistently used. For teams, create a simple follow-up cadence: 48-hour check, 1-week integration session, and an ongoing monthly check for the course duration. These touch points help catch return needs early and reinforce new learning. Healing rarely follows a clean timeline. Some gains will feel fragile, others will surprise you and last. The point isn't perfection, it's presence, showing up, practicing, and leaning into community. Those small returns, a tear, a pen stroke, a night without terror, are signposts that the system of care is working and that recovery can be real. If this episode helped, subscribe to Conscious Healing Beyond the Trip for full interviews, clinical resources, and guided integration exercises. Links and resources are in the show notes. Thanks for spending this time with us. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate.